feels good? It feels good because there's another part besides policy that matters. It's called leadership and character and integrity and honesty and our records. And you start looking at my record and you know where I stand. I have a long record. Some people say that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I'm proud of my public service. I'm proud of service. People like Bill Young and like Bill Rackus and those that I've served with have been tremendously honorable people and men of integrity and women of integrity in Washington. And I learned a lot doing that, and I brought it back and I put it to work for the state of Florida as your Attorney General. And I'm really proud of my team in the Attorney General's office, whether that's cyber crime or going out to fight mortgage fraud or working as we are on Medicaid fraud. And I had no idea when I got into this race that Medicaid fraud was going to be such a big part of the race. But I will tell you. Let me tell you a couple of facts about this. I'm running on my record, and Rick Scott's been running from his record. I didn't did a debate the other night, and just like the one in Miami that we did earlier in the week, he would not come out and face the press. Not only did he not face the press, he hasn't gone to any of the editorial boards except, I believe, the Lakeland Ledger. And the rest of the state he's ignored. And in addition to that, the statewide, that debate was here in the Bay Area, but the statewide debate we were supposed to have with Leadership Florida, every television station in every market that the Press Association is putting on, he refused to do. They tried to accommodate him in every possible way. He does not want to face the scrutiny that's there. There's a reason for that. And I'm not here tonight to strip him apart, but I think there are questions, seriously, I want to make it clear, and I don't mind telling you, I have to do this. I looked at Rick, I didn't meet him until Monday night a week ago, to my knowledge. I was in a debate with him, it was actually filmed during the day, so during the day, Monday. It was during the time we did this Spanish language Univision debate. So I really don't personally have any ill will towards Rick Scott, but I do know this, that having looked at the record, having read the newspapers, having read all the research my campaign's done, that when he ran Columbia HCA, something was really wrong. Now, he either knew about it or he didn't know about it, but whatever the case is, something was really wrong. They wound up on his watch having the most massive Medicare, Medicaid, and TRICARE fraud, criminal fraud, ever unearthed in the country at that point in time. A $1.7 billion fine being paid, I think you know that history, and you also know that he was fired by his company and he left with about $300 million. Well, what happened after that, you know, either he knew about it and he was complicit in it, in what was a criminal fine, though he was never personally charged with it. It was a criminal fine, huge amount of fine. For, you know, what upcoding is, it means that the company, instead of getting reimbursed for $1,500 or $2,500 for a procedure that was done, they upcoded it. They claimed reimbursement for something they didn't do to get $5,700 back. That went on thousands and thousands of times. Over 50 of his hospitals were raided. This isn't something small, and this was starting to be unveiled in early 1997, and it all came to a culmination in July. And he now says, I take responsibility, and what I said in those ads is true. The only thing he took was $300 million. And the problem, I don't mean that to be light. That's so now we see suspicion. I know nothing about this other than what I read in the St. Petersburg Times and the Miami Herald about this company, Solantic, that it may also have problems like that. We're not going to know the full story about that till well after this election. Whatever the investigations are, whatever those cases are, because Rick Scott has refused to allow the deposition that he took 6 days before he filed for governor to be made public. So far, he's refused to allow any of the confidentiality agreements, to allow us to see any of the records that were there. We just know that there were complaint after complaint about fraud and discrimination and so forth in Solantic during the time that he operated and founded that company. That's very recent and very current. Now, having said all that, I only put that as a background because you know me, and all you know about Rick Scott, because I continue to say, who is he, is what he says in his slick ads and what he said and what we know about him that I just described. Now, the bottom line of it is fairly straightforward for us as Republicans. I'm going to be a nominee you can be proud of. We're going to win this election in November. We're going to win because we're right. This This election is about our children and our grandchildren making Florida a better place for them. This is about making Florida great again. And if I want to set the record straight, I'm going to say two things to you. One, and probably I don't need to set straight because you already know about it. I'm proudest most recently of filing that lawsuit that I filed to have Obamacare. Last Thursday night after that debate, I went back to Fox and I did Greta Van Suskin, and we did it on the issue of the constitutional questions involved in that and where we're going, because we filed a brief Friday. We'll have a hearing in September. I won't be the Attorney General when that's decided, but I darn well want to be your governor because I don't know who the Attorney General is going to be, and I want to make sure that Florida sees this case through. It's going to the United States Supreme Court. It's going to be applied to 46. Set the record straight on one other thing too, and that is that even though he said a lot of other things and distorted my words and placed them in different formats, I support the Arizona immigration law. In Congress and as Attorney General of fighting to secure our borders, of opposing amnesty. I don't think anybody who's here illegally should be put on the path to citizenship. I think that we need to have legal processes that laws are out there. And I intervened in the court case in that situation for a reason. It's similar to the health care litigation. It's a constitutional question. The states have certain powers. That case on Obamacare is going to be the most significant lawsuit decision by the Supreme Court in my lifetime over the division between the powers of the federal government and the powers of the states and the rights of the individual, and the power of the federal government to come down in our lives and say, even if you're just sitting in a chair here at a political meeting tonight or at home in front of your TV, that if you don't buy a policy or a product or whatever it is, you have to pay a penalty. That's going to be a very significant decision, a hugely significant one. The Arizona law is a kind of a companion to that, because when the founding fathers set forth the enumerated powers in the Constitution given to the federal government, they reserved the rest of the states. They didn't give those kind of powers to the federal government, and they didn't give the general police power to the federal government. They may pass a law on immigration, they may have given them the authority to primarily enforce it, but they didn't give them the general police powers. The general police powers are left to Florida and Michigan and Arizona. We have the right to enforce both state and federal law. That's been inherent in our country since its foundation, and ultimately we're going to prevail on that constitutional issue. By saying to you what the real issues, why people are angry out there right now. It's like Dick Armey said, Bill McCollum was Tea Party before there was a Tea Party. And I've known me a long time. And the real thing people are angry about is they're angry about politicians who say one thing when they're running for office and do something different when they're elected. And they're angry about the fact that government has gone out of control, particularly in Washington, but certainly in Tallahassee too. People want government as I wanted it when I was first elected with Ronald Reagan in this county in 1980. We want government that taxes less, spends less, and creates more opportunities. That's another way of saying less government, less taxes, and less spending, which is what Connie Mack used to say. But that's what people want. Less taxes, less spending, and more opportunities. More chance for you and I and our kids and our grandkids to do better, to be able to build a free enterprise system, to grow the economy the right way instead of the way President Obama wants to do it. He wants to grow government more than he wants to grow jobs, and he wants to redistribute wealth, it appears to me, instead of growing wealth. We know how to grow it. We know what's right about this. We Republicans and we conservative Republicans understand the basic principles of the Constitution, the division of powers, the individual liberties we all have, the great free country we have, the freedoms that we each individually have, and we also understand how the market system works and how jobs are created and how all of us can be prosperous and why our nation's been so prosperous. And that's why, put together with honesty, integrity, and character, the issues that I've just described to you, the support of the newspapers that are now beginning to endorse, Jeb Bush's endorsement, the endorsement of Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney and Rudy Giuliani and a whole host of others, 28 of the sheriffs in the state of Florida, And, you know, the Home Builders Association and, of course, the Chamber of Commerce and many others, Florida Medical Association, people who know me, like you do best. That's why I'm going to win on August 24th, and we're going to win in November.